Hello, English learners. Today I'm starting a new set of verb videos. This time I'll be talking about conditionals. Some people consider conditionals to be verb tenses. I do not. Tense refers to time. While there is a relationship between conditionals and time, I generally think of them more as the kind of thoughts we're trying to communicate more than tense. But they do work together. However you want to classify conditionals, I'm going to show you how they work and when and how we use them. This video will start you on zero conditionals. Did you know we have zero conditionals? We do, and you're going to know them well soon. First, I'll show you what they look like, then I'll explain what they mean. So, let's get started. First, I want to talk to you about what the zero conditional means when we use it. Zero conditionals are used to talk about things that are generally true or forces of nature. Zero conditionals are also known as present real conditionals, which means that we're talking about something that is true. It's always been true. I could be talking about the weather and say, if the weather's nice, I take a walk in the mornings. Actually, that sentence is more like talking about habits, which is another way we can use them. If you were listening carefully, you would have noticed that zero conditionals use two clauses. Do you remember what a clause is? It's a group of words that have a subject and a verb. So we have two clauses here, but only one sentence. That's because not all clauses are sentences. Look at the sentence I gave you. The first clause is, if the weather is nice. Remember, this has a subject, which is weather, and a verb, which is. But if I say to you, hey, if the weather is nice, I hope you're going to be waiting for me to finish my thought. Yeah, if it's nice, what? So this is a clause, but it can't be a sentence. This is what we call a dependent clause, because the meaning of the clause is dependent on the rest of the sentence. It's like your children depending on you. If we look at the other clause in this sentence, I take a walk in the mornings. What's the difference? Well, if I say I take a walk in the mornings, does that make sense to you? It should. This clause could be a sentence all by itself. We call these clauses independent clauses because they don't need anything else to make sense. They're like your children when they grow up and get a job and move out of your home. They're independent. This is how we form the zero conditional. We have two clauses. One is dependent and the other is independent. Let's look at the rules. Rule number 1. A conditional sentence describes a condition and a result. For example, if I eat late at night, I don't sleep well. The if clause is the condition, and the main clause, or independent clause, is the result. Does that make sense? How about this one? If it's very cold, my car doesn't start. The same rules apply. If it's very cold is our dependent clause, or the if clause. And my car doesn't start is the main clause. That's the one that could be a sentence all by itself. Rule number 2. Use present tense verbs in both clauses. Examples. If Jane is on the phone, she's talking to Susan. Notice that the verb in the first clause is simple present, and the verb in the second clause is present progressive. That's okay, as long as they're both present tenses. One more example. If I take a train, I always bring my iPad. Okay, rule number 3. The if clause can come before or after the main clause, with no change in meaning. But when the if clause comes first, you have to put a comma between the two clauses. Notice the commas in our examples here. If I have time in the morning, comma, I make breakfast. I can say the same thing by switching the two clauses around, saying, I make breakfast, no comma, if I have time in the morning. Okay, rule number 4. There are other words we can use at the beginning of dependent clauses in conditionals. We can use unless, which means if not. For example, unless I get 8 hours of sleep, I feel tired the next day. This means the same thing as, if I don't get at least 8 hours of sleep, I feel tired the next day. These two have the same meaning. Rule number 5. A dependent clause in conditionals can also begin with even if. We use this when the information in the main clause is unexpected or surprising, like these examples. Even if Marty sleeps only 5 hours, he has a lot of energy. Or, I feel tired even if I sleep for 7 hours. I told you that zero conditionals are also called present real conditionals. Rule 6 says that in present real conditionals, we can use when instead of if, and the meaning is similar. For example, if he has time, he practices the guitar. And when he has time, he practices the guitar. The difference in meaning here is so small. The difference is this. When we use if, that means maybe it will happen and maybe it won't. According to this definition, he might not ever have time to practice the guitar. When we use when, we know that he will have time to practice the guitar. He might not know when he will have time, but he'll have time, and that's when he'll practice. You can use when or whenever. Either work just fine, and they mean the same thing. And that's the end of my lesson on zero conditionals. Next time, I'll cover first conditionals. Good job. I'm sure you're getting so good at English grammar. Most people are not crazy about learning grammar, but I've had some students who loved it. Whether you like it or not, it's important to know at least the basics. My videos will help you if you're going to have a test or if you just want to understand better what you're learning or what you're hearing from native speakers. Either way, I'm happy to have you as a student. Now relax, go get a snack, and think about zero conditionals so you'll remember when you need to. Have a great day. Remember to be kind to each other, and I'll see you soon with the next lesson. Bye for now.